Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Rig Rundown. I'm joined today by my good mate Pete from NIHILANTH.
Hi, man.
Yeah, very happy to have you here. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. Good to be here.
Good, man, good. You might notice today we're sitting somewhere a little different than usual. We're in Voodoo today and thank them very much for letting us, sponsoring us to use their venue, which is cool. We've actually got a gig coming up in here on the 11th of January, Saturday.
Indeed, yeah.
NIHILANTH, first big headliner.
Yeah, my first headliner as NIHILANTH, which is can't wait. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, and then Kidos is back, return to that, and then we've got friends of the show from Ruins playing and opening it. It's their Belfast debut, so that's Saturday the 11th of January. That's going to be a good one. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So brilliant. So let's get started. NIHILANTH, you've been making some big waves recently, and you've come a long way from it was the first single, Traders of the State, first EP, Destroyer Worlds, all the way to where you are now with the latest single, The Valley Beneath,
yep.
which got a Radio 1 premiere.
It did.
Which is cool as fuck. And then also, you won the Bloodstock Festival competition. I got to play that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's fucking class, man. Yeah.
So
Uber Rock, they call NIHILANTH uncompromising deathcore mixed with new metal enervation, which is cool. I like that one. And then you had the Metal Institute of Thrashology, so you guys were progressive technical death metal, and there's a groove running through every song. You allow your leads to dance a bit before returning right back to crushing metal.
That's it.
You agree with all that? Is that a fair enough assessment?
Fair enough. Like, we don't really label ourselves. We get labeled deathcore, metalcore. There's elements of hardcore in our songs. There's elements of all that type of stuff. Some death metal bits in there as well.
Sweet.
It's whatever we feel like playing, really.
Yeah.
And what we find fun and all that kind of stuff. We all love heavy fucking music, so it's whenever the riff takes you, that's what we go with.
Fucking right, dude. Well, here, fair play. Yeah, I suppose like what we do every time we have this show, we do like a deep dive into everyone's personal history. So obviously, I know all this, but for everyone watching at home, what inspired you to pick up your guitar, man?
Probably like from the very early stages, my dad.
Cool.
Whenever I was growing up, we had in our car we had like a cassette tape called Rock Heavy and Rock Soft.
Yeah.
And Rock Heavy was like your classic. It wouldn't be metal, but like rock, like AC/DC and Free and that kind of thing. And then Rock Soft, when my mum would be in the car, would be like Fleetwood Mac and like just kind of the lighter edge of the rocky stuff. So there was always kind of guitar-based music in our household growing up.
As there should be.
As there absolutely should be.
Awesome.
So from a very young age, I was like, ooh, what is that? And then as I grew up, I kind of found my own path and in terms of like went to school and then you kind of dabble into like pop music and stuff. But then there was definitely a moment, I think, maybe even P7 when I think I heard a Metallica song and I was like, what the fuck is that? So started like definitely kind of getting towards more the heavier things, and then you just kind of nosedive into kind of different genres and heavier. So like from Metallica into Slipknot, into Arch Enemy, and all those, and then Korn, and
that's what I was going to ask you. Like early influential guitar heroes, you're talking your Heads, your Kirk Hammetts,
yeah.
So
our early influences definitely Papa Het,
of course.
So for like rhythm and like his ridiculous right arm for downstroking, that and Angus Young, like just all the your generic bigs, and greats,
all the legends,
that aren't coming to my mind right now, but
I think they inspire everyone. I mean, that's why they are legends.
Paul Kossoff from Free was a big one because Free was one of my dad's favorite bands.
Awesome.
It's the song All Right Now.
Yeah.
So that's the band Free that wrote that song.
Yeah, it was really popular in the 90s with that fucking chewing gum advert.
Yeah, Wrigley's. Yeah. So like watching like VHS, that is an older version of tapes and media for all you kids out there.
Yep.
And so used to binge on that and Dire Straits and like Martin Knopfler's ridiculous guitars playing with his fingers and all that kind of thing. So
that's class, man. I was going to ask, was there a particular song or riff that made you be like, right, fuck, I need to do this?
In terms of playing guitar?
Yeah.
I think I can't remember the exact song. Definitely Metallica, and then I think the Free. There's a song called Fire and Water. When I got my first electric guitar, which was like back in the day, it was cheap for what I got. It was like 45 quid for a little
Not
tiny
bad.
practice amp and a Strat knockoff and a cable and a strap.
Everyone has to start somewhere.
Absolutely. There was acoustics floating around in the house and things, and I like those. My brother kind of gravitated towards that kind of stuff a bit more, but I definitely like the kind of the heavier side. So
Awesome.
I think I just tortured my brother. He was in the room next to me playing the song Fire and Water, because it was like the bar which go down 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 down. And
they heard that on repeat.
constantly. And then he would like burst into memories like, would you please fucking learn something else?
Get some headphones. Awesome.
Or get some headphones, yeah.
That's brilliant, man. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you next. So, were you self-taught? Did you get lessons? Mix of both?
Mostly self-taught. I had like 1 or 2 lessons with a friend of the family who taught me some like chords and some theory-based stuff, which I was like, this is boring as fuck.
Just wanted riffs, like?
I just wanted riffs. And I think it was just before like tabs had like properly come out and the internet and all that kind of stuff had like really taken off in terms of that kind of accessibility to learning guitar and that kind of thing, and before like YouTube and all that thing. So yeah, pretty much just self-taught.
Nice one. And what did you face any challenges then when you were self-taught? Like where to seek out your material, what to learn, what to
there was a couple of guys in school that
tabs.
Well, tabs were the main kind of thing, because my brother had gone off at this point to go travel and do his own thing. So, and my dad didn't really play that much guitar. There was a guitar in the house, but didn't play that much.
Yeah.
So, I just internet wherever I could find it, videos of whatever I could find, and then just do it by ear.
Just figure out your own way.
Yeah, you kind of tune a guitar to hopefully standard.
Yeah.
And then play along with the song, and then probably transposing it here and there.
That's what I used to do when I was younger, like watch Kerrang or something. Just put your guitar in your lap and just try and play along with everything.
Yeah.
See where you go.
I used to do it a lot with Slayer, and then tabs came along, and I was like,
brilliant.
Cheat codes. Absolute cheat codes. But it's a slow learning curve in terms of like, right, so that 0 means this string and that 1 and all that and all the
when I did it in school, we had to do it with fucking manuscript, so I just like got a pencil out and just wrote the A, E, C, just wrote the names of the letters of the notes on the top, which was cheating, like. But
I couldn't read music for shit. We had recorder and piano, or like electric piano and stuff, keyboard, and that was like pretty much it. And like all the writing out the notes and things, I was like, this is so like, I'm a little bit dyslexic, so my brain was going like.
Yeah, you need it in a way that's good for you to read, like
exactly,
not just the regular standard.
And then I just find my own way with tabs, and then playing along to the song, and like I'm kind of a rhythmic player, I guess.
Yeah.
So kind of feeling the kind of riff out, and then tabs then be like, oh, it's not that note, it's this note, or whatever it was.
That's brilliant, man. Yeah. That's cool. So like, don't be worried about not being able to read music or not having any theory. You can do it by feel, you can do it by ear, you can do it by tabs, you can just get people to show you stuff.
And for the most part it was friends and then some family friends and things showing me.
Having a keen interest to want to do it.
Yeah, and
probably makes up
the metal community in or like kind of I'm from the North Coast originally, so like the music community, there's loads of people playing in bands and doing bits and pieces. So it was like, oh, show me this riff. Oh, show me this riff. I remember someone showing me the main kind of opening line to One by Metallica, and I was like, and then I destroyed my brother's happiness again by playing that over and over and over again.
Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
So then, like, what advice would you give to someone then who'd be just starting out on guitar?
Just give it a go. Like practice, like the old proverb, practice makes perfect. If my wife allows me, I could put in 6 hours of just playing guitar and recording and all that kind of thing.
It's easy done. Like you go away for 10 minutes and some hours have passed.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll hear a scream from downstairs.
Where the fuck are you?
Dinner!
Yeah.
Whoops. Like, 2 minutes, and then an hour to like 2 hours past.
Thought you were going up there to put something away. Like,
exactly. You get distracted. So yeah, just put the time in. And if you really enjoy it, like anything you have passion for, you really kind of just stick at it.
It's not work if you love it.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Awesome, dude. So going then into metal. So we talked about how you got into sort of rock music, how your influences from your parents at home and everything. But what made you really dedicate yourself to metal? Was it sort of maybe the new metal coming out back in the day? Or?
It must have been new metal. Like I said before, like the slow kind of drip feed of different bands from other people having like on the bus at school or whatever, and then like, oh, have you heard this? And then you just go, oh my god. I remember going to I think it was like a youth club in Ballycastle, and this guy gave me his he'd just gone to, what was that, Taste of Chaos, was that?
Taste of Chaos.
It was like a big emo fest.
Yeah.
I think it was, that's the name of it.
I can't remember what it was, but I remember what you're talking about.
And it was in like England somewhere, and he came back, and this band called Parkway Drive had played. And he was like, here, I got their I downloaded it legally their CD.
Yeah, backed it up.
And backed it up, and let me listen to, I think it was Smoke 'Em If You Got 'Em, and I was just like, what the shit is this?
Yeah,
it's fucking awesome.
Transformative.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like them and Slipknot, especially Slipknot and Korn were my big two go-tos back in the day.
Big riffs.
And just fast and aggressive.
I suppose like they were really the first really popular bands that tuned down to fuck, weren't they?
Yeah, well, Slipknot were mostly in B at the time, and then Korn were in A with the sevens. So like D standard, and then A on top.
Awesome, it's good. Like, I was going to say about what specific bands or that solidified your love for metal. You're talking about Korn, Slipknot. What about any albums or songs?
Well,
apart like Parkway, obviously.
Slipknot's first, their first debut, absolutely destroyed my life. It was like one of the best heavy records I've ever heard.
Still is.
And then absolutely, the first 4 Korn records are still.
Oh, aye.
Like I think I broke the self-titled Korn album multiple times because I just too much. Repeat.
Brilliant.
System, like, and just like again new metal.jpg, like any kind of new metal bands, and then Metallica and Slayer was a big one for me too, and then never was much into Megadeth, but Pantera were really big for me as well.
Brilliant.
And just like kind of heavy, just like again nosedived into heavier and heavier and heavier. As you get along, and then you have nowadays you have like bands like Knocked Loose and all that kind of stuff. I just carrying on and just
awesome. Yeah. That's brilliant. Yeah. So your guitar playing obviously evolved after you get into metal. So you went from going to standard tuning, playing along with things in radio, to now looking at things in B and A. Like, so what was your first experience in realizing, right, I gotta fucking learn how to do this?
Again, Slipknot. I was I think they were playing, I can't remember which song it was, but I heard they were in B. Had a shitty little like chromatic tuner that just about went to B, and so I got like the low string to B, and then kind of just trying to tune the rest, and then it was like, grrr.
Elastic bands.
Oh my god!
Or were they like still get your attention and all?
Yeah, I think they were super slinkies at the time, so they were still a little bit baggy. But then I kind of got thicker strings, and then as you progress, you kind of like, okay, I want more. But then, in terms of huge influence and to where my guitar playing for me kind of went a different way for the better. Architects.
Yeah. Is that when you started maybe breaking things down more into getting technical with tapping and 100%. Alternate rhythms and things like that?
First type of tapping was like, again, like the one solo with Kurt Hammett's
like shredding
part. But I was never really a shredder. I can't solo to save my life.
I wish I could.
I just never sat down and bothered with scales and all that kind of thing. I was always about the kind of the riff and kind of those bits and pieces. But Architects, Tom Searle absolutely blew me out of the water with their first album, second album, Ruin, and then the hugest album for me, a very formative album, was Hollow Crown.
Cool.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my god, this is... what the fuck is this? This is insane.
You love that whenever you find a new band that you just lock into.
It just ticked every single box for me. Heavy, crushing riffs, and then beautiful kind of chorusy things, and then like intricate little tappy, and then riffs everywhere. And Deftones as well. Actually, I forgot to mention them. Deftones were massive influence for me as well. Steph Carpenter's absolutely amazing.
They tuned right down to G. Did they go?
No, well, I think they do a lot of like standard stuff with the 7-string just down to B. Like, so it's still heavy. But as they progressed, they then
they went with
got heavier. Yeah.
Fucking right. That's cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, how would you describe your unique style of guitar playing? Like, what sets you apart from most people? I mean, what I would say is you seem to have a lot more technical precision on certain parts than other players I'd see who go a bit mad with their right arm thrashing away. You sort of you're up, your hands are both here. You're doing some mad shit. It's impressive as fuck.
I guess, well, Tom Searle, like, playing along, I pretty much learned the entirety of the Hollow Crown album, and there's loads of tapping bits in that. And again, it's kind of more percussive type stuff, so it's like you're hammering on and then tap and then that kind of stuff.
You're almost into Polyphia fucking territory.
Yeah, well, not
that far.
No, not far. That's completely beyond me, but it's kind of, you're hammering on, pulling off at the same time, and then tapping as well. But it's again, it's more epic, and
you add the right little touch of reverb delay to that, and you've got this mad spacey sound.
And that was the thing for me as well. Started off with just amp distortion, and then I didn't go Metal Zone. I got
Tube Screamer, was that it?
No, I went to the shop with my parents, and I was like, I want a distortion pedal, and the first one I think was Turbo Metal, because it sounded like, fuck yeah.
Sounds pretty damn good.
It wasn't great. I was so disappointed. I still have it in my house somewhere, but it wasn't great. So that going into my little smaller practice amp wasn't amazing. I then upgraded to a Hughes and Kettner Warp 7, which was like such a good amp. For me at that time, I was like, it's like, Hughes and Kettner are an incredible brand anyway.
Brilliant.
But just even the gain off their Warp 7, it was just so chunky and so heavy. And I was like, fuck yeah.
That's brilliant.
And it glowed red as well. I was like, that's metal as fuck. Give me that.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. So what was the first question again? Sorry.
Oh no, your unique playing style.
Unique playing style.
You do a lot of double hand tapping and then a lot of syncopated riffs.
Syncopated riffs. Again, it's just
a lot of breakdowns.
Well, it's listen. You're a product of your influences.
Yeah.
So, Architects, Korn, Slipknot, as I said, Metallica, all those guys.
You can hear that all in there, actually. Yeah.
There's an amalgamation of all my favorite artists and everyone that I ever listened to that I think is badass. Part with Jive. There's lots of that kind of metalcore type riff, kill switch engage riffy stuff, all that kind of thing. Like a that kind of thing. So just honing in on that for me was definitely, and just like playing along with the songs over and over again, and you just kind of find your own way and find your own kind of style through that, I think.
Yeah. When you're doing that, when you're concentrating on technical proficiency, how do you balance it with an energetic, emotional performance? Practice. So you just want it to become second nature. So you're just performing the song, and your hands are doing what your hands are doing.
You learn the song over and over and over again, and like there's big huge bands that I've watched, and they don't rock out when they're playing their real intricate parts.
Yeah.
It's only when it kind of opens up a little bit, then you can kind of headbang and do your bits and pieces. We've played so many of the songs in our set so many times. We practice every week, and then we've been in a band for 3-4 years now. So
awesome.
like those songs have been written, played for fucking ages.
You play them in your sleep.
Exactly.
That's how it's got to be.
Literally, you don't have to look at the fretboard or that kind of thing. You just know, it's the first fret's there and that kind of thing, and then you just kind of rock out. And the music just takes you as well.
Yeah, it does indeed. Yeah, I mean, obviously, from being in the audience, I was at all those Metal of the Masses shows, and you could feel the energy in the crowd. Like everyone was fucking hooked on every note.
Well, it looked like people were enjoying themselves from up here. So
brilliant, man. That's class. So yeah, we talked about all your metal influences. What about non-metal genres or influences? That because like I said, you've got a lot of clean and ambient things. You've got a lot of atmospheric stuff going on. You've got a lot of atmospheric stuff going on. Where would your non-metal influences then come from?
People like Ben Hard and like kind of singer-songwritery stuff. Cool. It's always sad boy music, I think, though. Definitely going into like the minor key a lot more. That just is my vibe, I think. I love some stuff that's in like happier bits and pieces.
The upbeat tracks.
Who else? If Trees Could Talk, they're great instrumental band. They're still metal-ish, I guess.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff, even some classical things I really enjoy, but again, it has to be in that kind of
technical proficiency.
Well, more in the minor key and kind of sad, and
it's got to have something to
a bit
it.
more emotional than kind of just a little bit up. I like some upbeat stuff for sure, but
cool. Awesome.
that kind of stuff,
Yeah, so we're talking about your playing style. When you're writing your riffs and writing your solos, what is your approach that you know when you come up with something, you never just come up with something fucking boring. You never just say, here's a riff for riff's sake to fill this part. Everything has a very specific place, very intentional.
Well, it's because I most of the time when I'm writing, I write at home, and I'll bring that riff with either the demo to practice, and then or let the boys hear it, and then we kind of flesh that out a little bit,
Right.
or let's bring the riff to practice, and I was like, here, give me a 4/4 beat, and then show them, and then I love the kind of organicness of it whenever it just kind of gets jammed out from like
that's one thing we would talk about.
One
the
little
sort of
riff thing to a whole song.
That's cool, and that actually something that I learned a lot from you actually was demoing at home by myself. Like before learning from you, I had fucking clueless. I wouldn't have a clue, but you were like, nope, get your click set up, get your drum track, do your left, do your right, play it back, and I was like, whoa, it's actually fucking easy. And I learned it from you, literally watching you do it.
I came onto randomly was drum tracks on YouTube.
Yeah.
Type in metal drum track or whatever drum track,
Get your
BPM on it, and there's fucking tons of them.
And when you put it into Reaper, you change your BPM to whatever the fuck you want,
exactly.
and take your beat.
And it just gives you inspiration to kind of you can copy the beat to a similar thing if you want.
Just brings a riff to life.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing. Before I did that, would go to practice and have a riff and wait for the drummer to kind of play along to it, and then you kind of get the vibe of how it would maybe change here or there, and do it that way. So yeah, it's a bit of a long process for me getting to that point, but definitely writing at home and then bringing said demo or whatever
then
to
it would
practice.
change at practice.
Yeah.
You bring it home again, develop it, bring
Exactly.
it back
So
again,
I would
back
take
and forth.
live recording of the room jam, and then put that into Reaper and play the parts that we like, and then
and you always go to a click so that everything's
always.
perfectly matched.
If you don't, then if you don't play to a click, it'll just you'll have to at some point. If you're ever going to record, you need to play to a click. It's always better to
Especially for metal.
Yeah, for most stuff like Slipknot never played to a click. No, they're always off.
Au naturel.
Au naturel, but they're heavy as fuck, and they've been doing it for
there's
years.
quite a lot of tribal rhythmic changes and
I
stuff in
think
their
the
songs.
drummer
that can
always
work.
did. I know Jay Weinberg did, and I know Eloy does.
Sweet.
But they start the song and they can vary up and down in terms of stuff. But the drummer always drives the
that's class,
song.
man.
So yeah,
Brilliant. So you like you say, when you're creating your songs, you start at home in your space. You'll put it on the computer to a beat, then bring it into the rest of the band, show them. It'll go back and forth. Then you take it to the studio. You go to Josh. That's where you went.
Yeah.
What's your process then once you go in? What do you do first?
The last time we did
For Valley
was a little bit different. We recorded because I have the Quad Cortex from your DSP. It is one of the most amazing and versatile pieces of kit I've ever owned in my life.
Cool.
You can plug it straight into your computer, and it is the same as you plug it in when you plug it into your computer to when you plug it into your speakers or amp or whatever. It's like ridiculous.
Amazing.
And that's why I swapped, but we'll get to that. And so yeah, we recorded everything at mine and Lee's house, guitar wise.
Okay.
I think we did bass as well. Yeah, we did bass as well.
Just take your direct lines.
Yeah, it means it's quicker and less studio time.
So if you can take it and it's clean and it's good,
yeah. We do. I think we quad tracked everything, but we did DI tracks for everything as well. So then he can
reamp if he wants.
can reamp and do all whatever he wants.
And
to
I
do.
think he has your tone.
He does
from the previous time, so he just
but
loads it up.
Exactly. So
Genius.
I have the workhorse of the metal. Amp world is the PV6 505 or 505. So yeah, that was my tone for a lot of time, and then
brilliant.
and then you do your drums, and then
so was it really just drums and vocals in the studio?
Drums and vocals in the studio, and then
everything else.
he will send versions back for editing, and then we're like, okay, change this part or whatever.
Cool. Relatively short process, just for one song.
Really short process. Actually, I think it was maybe 3 weeks from recording to
release.
Not release, but like having it, because he was such an awesome a mate of ours to do that. He really hooked us up.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And because we were playing Bloodstock with no
You needed
material.
a fucking song,
we needed a
yeah.
fucking song. It was like, you're not going to Bloodstock without fucking getting this new song done.
Sweet.
Come on over and we'll get it sorted out. And I was like, all right, sweet.
Awesome.
So I was like, you're an absolute legend.
That's fucking cool. And then, so you get the new single done, and then you get a fucking premiered on Radio 1.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool. Like.
So, yeah, it was a bit of a pinch me moment when that happened.
Nice.
We were part of it, part of the, you have to make a profile and whatever for the introducing thing.
Yes.
And then, but I just fucking sent email after email after email. Put us on, we're playing Bloodstock, put us on, we're playing Bloodstock, blah, blah, blah,
You
blah,
gotta
blah.
push like that.
And then I think we were at, I had to make the pictures for it while I was at Bloodstock, because they were like, oh, your stuff is getting played, here's some promo pack stuff. And I was like, fuck, right, okay.
In the middle of something here. But
yeah, okay. I think it was the Saturday that I got that email. I was like,
do it in your
holy
tent.
shit. Literally in the campsite, sipping on a beer, and like, fucking Jesus, fucking make that bigger. Oh.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then I played at like 1 o'clock in the morning or something. But
Brilliant.
tuned in. It was hearing your band's name on the radio.
So would you encourage everyone else out there to push?
If you're in a band, put it in, and hopefully you'll get on there.
Get lucky and
absolutely.
If your shit's good, you might like it.
Like, just push. The same with social media stuff.
Oh,
We're not the greatest at it. We all have our own lives and
It's
all
we're all
that kind of
old
stuff.
now.
We all the shit and have better things to do than fucking post stuff on social media. But that is
soon our kids will be able to do it for us.
Yeah, well, that's it. So yeah, like
cool, man.
the grind is real.
Yeah, that's fucking. It's brilliant to see though, because like I said, hard work paying off. You got the track done. The track's awesome. You got it recognized. You got it out.
Yeah, and I think the caliber of a track.
Yeah.
It helps. So
it holds up. I mean, against everything else on the radio, like so.
Exactly. So
awesome.
I think,
and like, you're not the only dudes from here doing it. We've got some other guys from here making archives. Such an inspiration to everyone else. Yeah. Again, brilliant to see. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that was really, really encouraging to see. Is it just kind of driving you to fucking do more and do better and do the next thing?
That's it. We cannot wait to go back in the studio. We have so many new
tracks
songs.
Ready?
We have like every show we've done. I think since Lee has joined,
We've added stuff.
Like, this is just part of our regular set, and then we're gonna have to like drip feed or just we have an EP.
You have to have your shit out before you can.
I know, but we've played the older stuff so many times, and we want to play the new things.
Get it in, get it recorded, man. I'm sure
that's it. Well, yeah, that's the
people are keen for it.
Well, good to hear. We just need to book in with Josh for this for the next single.
Brilliant.
Which would be probably the song Emergent Truth.
Brilliant. That's cool. Awesome. So so we talked about how do you write your riffs, make them stand out. Do you have any specific sort of practice routines for improving, staying sharp, keeping your hands nice and limber, apart from just practicing all the time? But I know there's guys that use, the wee finger spring things. There's dudes that soak their hands in hot water.
Hands are pretty beastly anyway. I'm a tree surgeon.
Yeah.
So I use them every day and climb trees and that kind of shit.
No issues there.
Brilliant. But in terms of playing guitar, practice. Find a song that you absolutely love playing and fucking nail it. And then that's your practice song, because then you can play it anywhere. You can even just listen to it in your ears and play along on acoustically on an electric guitar or whatever. That's what I usually do. If I haven't played guitar in a good few days, I'll like write and either play along to something I've written or just play along to something I enjoy.
You enjoy.
Fun.
Yeah.
It brings the joy back into it, and like if it's like, oh, to fucking play guitar, that kind of stuff, which it never is for me.
It's more like, this fucking equipment won't work. That's my problem.
Well, not anymore for me.
Awesome. That's cool. So looking back, how has your journey as a guitarist shaped who you are today? It's quite a large part of your personal identity.
I guess it's shaped me a good bit, because I've moved to Belfast whenever I was still living in Ballycastle, was still playing guitar and bits and pieces. I was in a trade called steel fixing, which is where you tie steel to steel with wire, and it's boring as fuck. But all my friends were moving to Belfast to go to uni, whatever. And I was like, I'm not being stuck in Ballycastle doing this shit. I'm gonna go be a guitarist. So moved to Belfast and found some like-minded people, such as yourself. You were the first person I contacted.
That's right.
On Fast Food back in the day.
Back in the day, man.
And then
was it Fast Food or Metal Ireland? It was
Fast Food.
They're both gone now.
Are they?
I think so.
So then through music, I've gotten to meet some amazing people and luckily travelled some bit and played fucking cool festivals and
to open for a shitload of fucking bands you love.
Yeah, that's it as well.
Shitload of them. That was cool.
So
back even, I don't know if anyone's familiar with, you were before NIHILANTH, Death of a Salesman, and you guys did fucking Every Time I Die and fucking Lamb of God and Tour to the Daily Waiting.
Asking Alexandria.
Yeah, that's right. Asking.
Those two shows were like
game changers
for us. I remember that band because we walked out on stage in Derry in the Nerve Centre to a completely full room and everyone screamed.
When you're used to like 25 people in at the Annies.
Yeah, exactly. so like you're playing to fucking no one in your hometown, but then you walk into Derry and there's all these kids screaming and we're like, oh my God. We're like, they have no idea who they are, but okay, fuck it.
That was brilliant, actually.
And yeah, those two shows were incredible.
Nice.
Really, really good time.
How do you feel like getting lucky enough to do the cool things like that, like Asking Alexandria, Lamb of God, Every Time I Die? Like, did you ever get to meet any of those dudes? And did they come in and impart any knowledge on you? Or?
Met Asking Alexandria, met Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. It was such a surreal moment. Yeah. We loaded in our gear into the old Medalla Hall, just like the floor and stuff, and just down there, I think they were deconstructing Silas's stuff because they just did their sound check. And Randy just walks up to us and was like, hey, you guys in Death of the Salesman? And I was like, we're like, yes. And he was like, thank you guys so much for playing. We were just like,
that's class.
No bother.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. And was just like in awe of like Randy Blythe from Lamb of God.
Yeah, dude's a fucking legend.
At least. And then had a beer with Chris Adler, who was the drummer at the time.
Nice.
We walked down to Limelight because that's where their after show thing was. And we walked down there together and got a beer, and then he got absolutely hounded by people.
I'm sure he did.
So I was just giving a wee nod, and he was like, and he gave me a thumbs up. I also got to meet the Welsh Sleeps guys.
That's right.
I got to hang out with Matt from Welsh Sleeps a good bit. Took him cliff diving up in the North Coast one time, and he loved it. And then got to hang out with those guys every time they come back and things. So it's been.
And you
awesome.
were here when I opened for On Earth, and we all had that big party upstairs.
Yeah, On Earth. Yeah, Matt On Earth.
That was class.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant, right? Yeah. That's cool. Like I say, it's quite a fun job.
It's a
I would recommend
fun hobby for me, but
yeah, it's fucking brilliant. But okay, back to technical shit. 7-string guitars.
Okay.
I never actually touched one before we started jamming together, and now they're fucking class. I never really go a long time.
7-string guitar was the fucking Strat knockoff was my first proper guitar.
Nice.
Because of Korn.
I had to get that range.
Yeah, I was like, I need that. I need a 7-string. My parents and my brother, who was like, why? Just get a 6-string. You'd never played a 7-string before. I was like, but I need it.
Need it. Fucking right. You got it. What was your first 7-string?
Harley Benton, so off Toman.
Nice.
Harley Benton, couldn't remember what the.
You still got it? In your parents' attic or something?
Potentially in my parents' attic somewhere. I got a Flying V off them as well.
Nice.
It wasn't a 7-string, just a 6-string. But that, I just played Korn religiously.
As you would. I just always like, right now. I play it like every day.
That was the first album and Issues and a bit of Fall Leader for sure was that, like, especially Issues with songs like Somebody Someone and Falling Away From Me and things. Just those big fucking heavy hitters. And then the first album, like loads of that, just nearly every song. I was like, I need to be able to play.
Fucking well, paid off, dude. So what do you? That was the Harley Benton was your first one. Now you are moved on to
ESP pretty much.
What makes you go for those?
Tom Searle from Architects was playing that guitar. A version of that guitar, and I always liked the kind of super Strat shape.
Very aerodynamic.
Very aerodynamic and pointy and metal as fuck looking, but still kind of classy and cool. Before that though, I had a reverse headstock Jackson guitar.
Nice.
That was my first proper
very metal, the reverse head
very
stuff.
metal, but very like my first proper 6-string.
Nice.
I still have that at home.
Did you use that one in Salesman? Is that?
I did at the start,
Cool.
and then I had an Ibanez for a while, which was like the S line, the like ridiculously thin one.
Oh, nice.
It was
Comfy.
and light, but it just wasn't me.
Wasn't so.
And then towards the end of Salesman, just before Dave left, we were thinking about going on to sevens and looking at 7-string and stuff, just because we were tuning down so low.
Made
we were
more
in like
sense.
A and like B flat and stuff. So we were like, should we, like, these riffs would definitely sound good on a 7-string. So I think I borrowed one off a friend, and I was like playing some Salesman stuff, and I was like, fuck, this sounds class.
So elevated it right up.
Yeah, and I had my old Harley Benton was like in the attic, bust up, and hadn't played that in years. So I was like, I need to get a new one. So I played that. I think it was an Ibanez. Did you have that one? The Ibanez 7-string.
Yep, and then went to Darren.
Yeah,
That one.
yeah. So that was my first one, and then I had that, and then this was my first proper 7.
Nice.
Which is the LTD TE 407.
Nice.
Which I then upgraded with Josh from North Lane's signature bare knuckles, the impulses.
Okay, so you modified this yourself? Did you
No, I
do it yourself, or did you hand it in?
handed it in to Leaf, who's the Wizard of Belfast.
Is that your
for-
go-to tech?
Go-to tech for
Yep,
sure.
brilliant.
He's amazing. I think he used to tech for like Ash or someone.
So he knows his stuff.
So he knows his stuff, and he had the like router in on the sides here. I don't know if your camera will pick up, but like had the router in and stuff for the little ears to go
Get
down.
some close-ups.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
That's
on that,
fucking
I
cool.
played that for a good long time in Salesman, and then upgraded to the TB7.
Nice.
Which is my current guitar, which is ESP and
Your
E2.
main one.
My main guitar, which is an absolute beast of a thing.
Yeah. Is that what you used on all the Nylons recordings?
Yep.
Yep.
I think I used the LTD on like the earlier Salesman stuff.
Okay.
What you call it?
Heretic? Or
Heretic and
Desolation?
Desolation and Edge
You
of
should know
Reality.
these.
I should know these. Super fan over here. So yeah, I used that, and the pickups are passive, so they come across good live, but
Yeah.
recording it just wasn't.
Not as much heft. as
Yeah,
the
it was
active.
lacking a little bit for some reason. But this thing is an absolute beast. And it's a baritone, so longer scale, 27-inch scale.
Brilliant.
And it's got still have the stock EMGs in it. I think they're 707s.
So they were grand enough. You didn't
Yeah,
feel the
like
need to
as soon as I
upgrade?
plugged in, like I would love bare knuckles in it, but
Yeah.
they're fine.
If it's not broke, don't
Yeah,
fix
well,
it.
I'd probably
just
go
be being silly.
Aftermaths or Nazguls or something,
Oh, nice.
just to kind of change it
Yeah.
up and have something else. The other mod I would do potentially would be to put an Evertune in it, which is it's one of those new bridges that never goes out of tune.
Just extra sturdy or something?
Extra, so you can make it so there's a slight bit of bend or no bend at all, but it literally never goes out of tune. That's why it's called Evertune.
That sounds good.
But you have to router.
I don't know. I reckon we could get it out of tune. That sounds like a bit of a challenge.
No, I challenge you.
Even if you
find a
drop
guitar
it or
that has, I think Josh has one that it doesn't do it.
I reckon I
You
could
can
break
set
out.
them to kind of if you be able to band loads, but the
Yeah.
whole point of them is so they never go out of tune. And
Sweet.
then this has locking tuners on the back as well.
Brilliant.
But that's all part of standard as it came with. So yeah,
Have you got? Is that a fixed bridge or Floyd on it, or
fixed bridge.
Fixed bridge.
I had Floyd's on my first 7-string and my first the Jackson 6-string.
all right. How'd you find it?
I liked them at the time because of dime bag.
Fun to do stuff on, but a pain in the
Yeah.
ass to maintain.
Maintain and
It's
put-
set.
yeah, whenever you're trying to like change tunings all the time, which I was doing, learning this song which is in B, learning this song was in A,
Yeah.
learning this song was in C or standard or whatever.
Cool.
It was just a faff.
Yeah.
So I went to floating and fixed bridges.
Brilliant.
So that I just like the way they feel, and I've always just stuck there.
Cool, man. That's brilliant. Yeah, I was going to ask you there about pickups, active or passive. You've got the benefits of each.
Active in the
Active for that
this
one.
in the baritone, and then passive in this one. These look way cooler.
Yeah.
They're chrome, but
and it's more just for the studio. Live, you can crank your amp enough to make up the difference.
But this one, I absolutely adore.
What about pickup positions? Any specific ones for specific parts?
Main, just on the bridge. If I'm doing anything clean that I'm going to do for a long time, I'll do middle. Never really do neck pickup.
No?
Like I'm not really like it's kind of more of a dirty bluesy sound.
Yeah.
So it's not.
You want to cut through a bit more.
Yeah, I've never really needed to use it.
Cool. What about have you ever experimented with coil splitting or anything?
One of my guitars did have that, and I never used it.
I don't think I would use it.
Lee uses it for doing something like particularly genty.
Like using the cleans or
no,
tops?
So there's a for doing something particularly like genty, and that and kind of a lo-fi part of it. Yep. So it's like a kind of stripped back sounding guitar, and you want a slightly more crisp sounding single coil type kind of vibe off it. He'll do that, or if he wants to kind of cut over, because I'm pretty quite. Not bass heavy, but like quite chunky. Yeah. I've always just liked that kind of a tone. Whereas he kind of will cut through on that if we're doing any songs in drop E, he'll have that come through.
Drop E, so like a whole octave down from standard tuning.
Yeah, no, so it's D standard, and then it makes it into like an octave kind of down tuning. So you can do bar chords, but it sounds like an octave kind of sounding thing. You've probably played in it a couple of times whenever you've been jamming with me. So did that. So it'd be really in G, which is basically like the drop D kind of style tuning, but on a 7-string, and then drop E, which is again even lower, which we have for our stanky kind of more genty sounding songs.
Awesome, dude. That sounds fucking cool. So that's your 3 guitars there. Mm-hmm. Next step in your rig then goes onto the floor. Yep. You have upgraded since I was last jamming with you. You didn't have this toy here.
No. So I think that was this year I upgraded, or maybe last year.
It's for Metal of the Mass final. You had it.
What, sorry?
For the final Metal of the Masses thing.
No, I had it all the way.
Did you have it the whole
way through?
Awesome.
I still jack into. Cause you need a power amp to drive it for a cab. You can just go direct, but I was always a bit like, well, it depends where you play and that kind of stuff.
So is there a little bit of a power amp in it to give you something?
No. So you have to, if you want on stage sound, you need a power amp or so my PV 6505 Plus has a send and return in the back. You plug that into the return and then plug it into one of the outs on the back of the QC, and that gives you your on stage sound.
Sweet.
And I bought a what's it called? The Power Stage, the Toman kind of own brand one. Power amp, and I still haven't dialed in the right tone. As soon as I plugged in at practice, there was just something off. I just wasn't hitting the mark as much.
So you need to play with it more.
I need to play with it more. So just revert it back to plug it into the back of the head, because it's immediate balls to the wall riff and tone. Upgraded to that. I was just sick and I'm still having to carry my fucking amp and stuff, but you can't. When I go just direct, all I have to bring is a small box on my guitar and my in-ear rig. And
when you played Bloodstock, what did you have to bring with you? Only that?
Just brought my guitar and my in-ears and that fly case, which had the QC and my whammy, which I only used for a couple of songs.
And how did that work over there? Did you just hand it off?
We had a bit of a fucking mare with that. They have all the gear there provided for you. And because me and Lee both do this, we plug into the back, like I said, to use the power amp from the amp. Yeah. Went in backstage and getting our stuff set up. Got on stage and plugged it in the back that we normally do through the return, and there was no sound. And we were just like, what the fuck is going on? So I read up on them. They have the exact same kind of systems as our amps, and
It should have worked.
Lee has a Laney, I have a PV, so it should have worked fine. Fuck. But it didn't, so we had to go in the front, which can diminish your sound because you're kind of just going into the clean channel. So it's like essentially using them as like just your regular pedals, which you don't get the versatility from them as much. So
was it noticeable to yourselves on there?
Well, the other thing was there was a kind of a lack of guitar on stage, so we couldn't hear. So the first couple of songs, until there was like a guitar break, we were just kind of like hoping that there was guitar out there.
Just going on pure like instinct.
Pretty much. Well, we're just like, you have to kind of show up and play anyway. So we're like, fuck it, let's just do what we do and do it well. And
I caught some footage from it, and it looked fucking great. You got lucky.
all our wives and girlfriends were in the crowd watching us, and they said we sounded amazing. Yeah. So we're like, okay,
that's the thing that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So we've had, in all our band lives, we've all had shitty sounds and all that kind of stuff. We expected it, I guess, because it was a bit of a rush thing and whatever. If we'd brought our own stuff, it would have been fine. And just like we just didn't bring the heads because like they have stuff there, and it was just extra space that we didn't really have in the van that we hired. So it was just like, we'll know again. Just bring your own shit. And
do you think there might be a chance of getting to go back?
Did you love to? We'd
try and forge that relationship? Did you make friends with them and all that stuff?
As much as we could.
Because Acid Age, they won it last year, and then got invited back
to
the next stage up. So it is. It is a thing that happens.
Yeah, and they played the Thursday night, and the only place open is the Sophie Lancaster.
So got everybody?
Everyone was there.
Brilliant.
So they played to a fucking incredible crowd.
That's a good spot. That's what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. We would absolutely jump at that.
Nice. Were you there? Did you see it?
No, I think we arrived late on the Thursday, and we're just getting our stuff set up in the tent and all that kind of thing. And we had a little wander around. So I think they'd already played by this point. So it didn't. Yeah.
Did you meet many more others from over here?
Yeah,
I know there's a big consignment that people go for.
as we were playing our set, Ed was doing a bit of talking, and it was a bit of it stopped for a second, and all I heard was yeah. And I looked immediately to my left because that's someone from Northern Ireland, obviously. Yep. It was Paul Dock.
Oh, of course.
So I was like, class, and so it was cool to see him there. Yeah, that's and then we bumped into the Acid Age guys as well. I can't remember if there was anyone else potentially.
I don't think there was anyone else from up our neck playing it, but I think it might have been a couple of down south ones, like their winners and stuff like that. Cool. But yeah, no, it's brilliant. What about any other notable stories from it? Did you get to meet anyone else cool?
It's being backstage behind the like our stage that we're playing at the New Blood stage, which was really cool because you're on this kind of a stage and you're kind of walking from the green room, which is over there, or whatever else, or like even Limelight. If you're playing the big room, you can come downstairs in the lift or whatever. Yeah. Being backstage and having all your stuff set up and having like people do all that for you.
Having a crew to wheel it out.
Like we didn't have to touch anything. Everyone was brought all the stuff on.
That's what you want.
And I was like, this is fucking cool. And then just being a side stage at a festival is cool as fuck anyway. Yeah. So it was really cool for me.
Sorry, like when Delusional played like Hammerfest and Hard Rock Hell, like you couldn't keep us off the fucking stage. We were up there high fiving and everyone all night while they were playing. We were like, we're taking advantage of this. Like,
yeah, it was really cool. And then we got like some. I think on the Friday morning, got some press stuff.
Yes, I've seen some of that. Cool.
So we got to chat to.
Did they organise all that for you, or did you try and sort it yourself?
You have to sort it yourself. So you send a bunch of emails.
But do they give you the people to say these are the ones going to be here?
We asked friends who'd play there before. We asked Dead Label guys who's the best to chat to, and then we went to the press tent and then just like took emails and names, like do you have any slots, and a lot of them were already pre-booked, like we had already. So it was cool just to see other bands getting interviewed and that kind of thing, and then the guys that we did it with. They were so sound. We actually sat beside them randomly just as we were having food before, and they were like, "You guys Northern Irish? You guys NIHILANTH?" And we're like, "Yep." And it was like, we're interviewing you later." So it was
brilliant.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Must have been a surreal moment when you got announced as the winner. Like I've seen one of your interviews before. You're like, Ian was saying like you didn't actually believe it. You're like, what?
No, like
because there's loads of other brilliant bands, and you never expect it to be.
No,
you always are just happy to be.
You have the hope. And
yeah.
I hope we win and all that kind of stuff. But then as soon as he said NIHILANTH, it kind of took me a second. I was like, holy fuck, that's us.
Yeah. I think you were the only people surprised at this one, because like word on the street was that it was pretty much yours from the
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, there's a lot of support there.
But getting to play, that's Metal of the Masses is class, because you get to see the creme de la creme of up and coming Belfast bands, or bands who've been around for a while, or whatever. But like just getting to see top caliber bands and full room of people, it really is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I think they regularly sell out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where they host it, and here in lovely Voodoo.
Salesman got to the final a couple of years back. We didn't win. Oracle won that year.
That's right, in the Union.
Yeah, but even all those shows.
Oh, I have that. I've recorded the whole night. I have it all.
Yeah,
on video.
so all those shows were amazing.
Yeah,
and it really pushes you, and to get your shit sorted, get backdrops if you have them, make sure your set's tight as fuck.
Big it up as much as you can.
The biggest thing I would say is just try and be as professional as you can. Like be on time, be there for loading, get your shit sorted, make sure you have all your stuff ready to go, and get on and get the fuck off stage quick as well.
I'll be pro. Don't fuck about
people that stay on stage. Hold the kind of stuff up, so
probably get dragged off.
Yeah, well, it's not fair for the other bands type thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Like, so how did you prepare for that? Did you got a specific time slot? Did you just time everything down?
Yeah, for just Bloodstock.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just to make sure to be, or for
both.
Both.
So we played the same set that we played. I think didn't we played Traders? No, we didn't play Traders. We kind of dropped Traders. Just it kind of. Even though it was our first single, we felt that the rest of the songs flowed really well together, especially the new ones. There's awesome parts in Traders, especially like the kind of really heavy crushing ending.
Sure, you can always bring it back in future.
Yeah, we did when we played here with Lockhorns. That was the first time we played it in a long time, just because we needed to fill out our set. We were like, fuck, we need to put that one back in.
Nice.
But we only had 30 minutes for the Metal to the Masses and for Bloodstock, so you just have to. We had, I think, 6 songs anyway, and it depends on what your frontman's like. Aiden's not huge for talking anyway, so that's fine. So you just kind of make sure your songs flow into each other,
banger after banger.
Yeah, and make sure they're your bangers, and go, and you can have like peaks and troughs where you kind of bring it up with a really fast, heavy song, and then bring it back down a little bit, kind of a bit more chill or whatever, and then as long as you kind of make the crowd go mad. That's
sweet.
That's the main point.
Any other things to prepare for doing this? You know, it must have been probably
practice like fuck.
Biggest show, just practice like fuck.
Practice like fuck, and
it wasn't like you ever see in Wayne's World where they have the tennis ball gun firing at them, practicing knocking shit down.
Yeah, you can do all your production stuff if you want, but I think the caliber of your songs and your band in general needs to be the first thing that you need to have.
Brilliant.
You need to be a fucking good band and have good music, and then that'll like get you places. And do that. Practice.
Any other standout bands from Bloodstock? I'm not talking like Architects and Amon Amarth and all the big ones. Any other wee ones that stood out to you? Everyone needs to go check them out.
Because I had Whitechapel. Like one of my favorite bands anyway. They were unreal. Malevolence were
always good,
fucking incredible as well. They had like the one of the biggest circle pits around like the sound desk and stuff. And it was funny, but not funny.
It was actually around the production desk.
Yeah,
but
funny. Just behind the production desk, there's everyone's seats. So everyone had their little flip chairs and stuff. So they all had to like get up and move the fuck back.
Yeah,
which was like hilarious, but also raging for them. So they had some technical problems, but other than that, they were class. Silosis were also unreal as well.
Brilliant.
They had I don't know what the fuck was going on. There was a few technical difficulties throughout the kind of weekend.
Yeah,
we didn't stay for the Sunday. We had to travel back.
Mr. Boat
and Mr. Boat, Parky.
Could have assumed so. Yeah, Parky.
And yeah, so.
Cool. So, how did the Bloodstock team treat you as performers? You said your favorite part of being backstage was just like the camaraderie and atmosphere.
And part of the press pack you get for Arrival and all that kind of stuff is make sure you bring some biscuits.
For your crew?
For the crew. And so we brought like Fox's cookies, whatever it was, and then like
And then they love
5 packets of them, and they're like, "Fucking lads, thank you."
There's nothing to do all day but lunch biscuits in between work.
Just be nice and
Cool.
be courteous and just help out wherever you can, and then they'll do the same for you.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, you said before you hand them off your gear and you don't see it. That's like a scary prospect to me.
Well, no, you still see it.
You see it
so
just before you
there's
go on?
like in the back kind of the tent. You arrive in with all your lids and gear and that kind of stuff, and then you take everything apart, and then you have like your own little table, and then there's another slot for the next band on, and then another table for the next band on. So you put everything there, ready to go.
You get to make
so you
sure
get
it's all set right.
all your cymbals and stands that you have set up ready to go. So it's just lifting that on stage.
Cool.
And then this is like for us, all I'm doing is lifting my pedal board and cables onto the stage, because we didn't have to bring any cabs or heads or anything. That was all already set up. Bring that on stage and then set all that plug in, and then hopefully you're ready to go. So yeah.
Cool. On your set at the festival, any songs you feel went down better than others? Anyone?
So for us, it was a kind of a bit of a catch-22. We went on at 6, and which I thought was going to be a great time. But Hatebreed went on at 5:45 or something, and they had like a half-hour set. So they finished at maybe 5:30 or something. I can't remember. They finished at 5:15.
Yeah.
So and the band on directly before us destroyed the room. Band on before them had a fucking amazing crowd, full tent, people jumping up and down, moshing, usual crack, and having a good time. Next band directly on before us were like prog rocky type stuff, but like change of pace. One of the guitarists was playing a violin bow on the guitar, that kind of vibe. Good music,
great, but everyone went to Hatebreed.
Everyone went to Hatebreed or went to the bar, and there was people sitting down and enjoying the band. Like there was like a handful of people there.
Should have swapped with them.
Yeah, well, we were just like, fuck. Well, I'm glad we didn't, because it could have been for us as well, because everyone could have left for.
Well, it looked like it filled back up again.
So the first 2 songs we played, they were sparse, kind of populated. But then I think as soon as like Hatebreed kind of finished or whatever, people were like, I can hear riffs.
Yeah.
And like by the kind of next few notes of the third song, full, nearly full, nearly at capacity, I think.
Cool.
And by the end of our set, it was, you can see in the picture we posted, it was like absolutely amazing. It was so cool. And that was like, okay, my guitar is definitely working. and then like as soon as you kind of look up and see that, you just start to kind of relax.
You didn't have your in-ears for it?
Did, but again, technical difficulties.
They were useless.
Had them plugged in and tested them, it was fine. And then as soon as I started to play, couldn't hear my guitar, and there's not really much on stage sound for guitar. And then I said to I couldn't hear my vocal either. So I said to the stage guy, like, to put my vocal up, and he just turned. There was a wedge beside my head here somewhere, and he just whacked that up instead of my ears. So I sort of did a big scream, and I was like,
deafen yourself?
Fucking hell! So then I was just like, right, okay. Luckily it was kind of singing parts next, and I just kind of dealt with it. I was like, fuck it, I'll just go for it, it's fine. I could kind of hear my guitar a little bit in different places, so I was like, right, I'll just go. We had a fucking amazing time playing after we kind of got over it, and was like, right, we'll just get on with it and play. And then
so after a little bit in, then you weren't worried anymore?
Yeah, we just kind of just go with the flow, and was like, oh, it's actually real fun. And then we started like kind of running about the stage and having the crack, and it was good.
And then so you didn't make too many changes to your setup for traveling over, or did you?
No, pretty much exactly what I have on stage here is what I took. Guitar and pedal board.
And that's the benefit of a compact setup.
Yeah, and it means wherever you go, your tone's the same.
Yeah.
So
you could
playing in
Voodoo, backpack it if you had to.
Literally, before I had it on the hard case, I got a little satchel with the thing in the post.
Oh, cool.
So I had that, and I was like, this is such a weird experience, just carrying this and plugging in to a little plug, and being able to have such a big sound on stage was class.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping up the Bloodstock then, if you could describe it in 3 words, what would they be? Your whole experience.
Totally fucking awesome.
Nice. Okay. That sounds about right. I can imagine it looked pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, the whole vibe in the campsite was class. We were in the crew and artist area, so slightly more chilled out and not as hectic as it probably could be. I'm sure some people would enjoy that.
Yeah.
We were given the offer to do that, and I was like, no, I want to fucking sleep where it's slightly quiet. We also have gear in our van, so I want to be able to be like, right, it's there, it's safe, that kind of thing. And we still set up. Like first night, I'm kind of band at it a little bit anyway. So first night, and because we had press on the Friday, I was like, right, fucking stay up, have beers, and have the crack. But
Make sure you're good
Aiden,
for
motherfucker,
tomorrow.
we have press. So if you're
Time
not
to the bed.
if you're not fucking out of your tent by 11 a.m., I'm going in and dragging you up by your ankle.
And you're going in whatever state you're
Yeah,
in.
exactly. And those boys sit up to like 3 or 4. So I went to bed at like 1 or 2. I was like, I was probably awake till about 3.
Yeah.
But because I was like excited and buzzing. But they just kind of partied on, and I was like, come on, lads, we have the rest of the weekend to do this. But yeah, after we played, going back and having everyone there and drinking and having a big old party and celebration for.
I love that as well. Like, see that I was always lucky in the festivals that we did with Delusional. We were always on pretty early, so got off, got the stuff away, and then it was like we have 10 hours of drinking with all these bands.
Yeah, it was class. And then the Saturday was like the big kind of heavy hitter day in terms of music. So we just had got the whole festival. So it was such, and the weather was perfect. I think
would it have been worse if you weren't on until maybe late on Sunday? You'd have the whole weekend of anxiety. It was good getting it over with.
Playing on the Friday was class. I think because we're traveling so far, it makes sense. So I was like, but it was fucking amazing. I couldn't recommend it more.
Awesome. Well, hopefully you keep that relationship with them going, and we'll see you back there.
We would love to play. Anytime you want us to play, we'll play.
Oh, aye. Headliners or whatever. Speaking of which, we've got you guys are headlining here in Wonderful Voodoo on Saturday, 11th of January. So, any surprises? I mean, this is going to be a bigger show from you.
We have 2 new songs in the works. Probably just one will be played because in terms of like vocal stuff and getting like they're pretty much, well, one is pretty completely came around to mine last week on Tuesday, and we finished it off at mine. We had practiced that song loads, and then it just wasn't flowing right in bits and pieces, so I took the room recording again, took it onto my Reaper station, and then cut it up into kind of changed it around, and then I was like, oh, but what about this, and then what about this, and then Lee came, and then we kind of just had a little riff session and finished it, and it sounds fucking class.
Nice. Can't wait to hear it. Are you going in with Josh again, or?
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, that one's gonna wait until the other one's coming out. I want to kind of give them their dues.
It's like stagger each release.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying it.
So we're gonna do that, and then we have a brand new intro as well, which is close to my heart. And
what have you? Is this? I remember the last one you had put in like the Jaws theme tune kind of synths and all in there. Remember?
It's
for Welcome Doom. Is it anything similar like that?
There's synth, but there's
surprises.
All
right, okay. I'll not let you reveal it.
And we're gonna
we're gonna see on the 11th.
Yeah, we're gonna see on the 11th. We still have to kind of get it perfect, but it should be sick as fuck.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of people will be excited to see you come and do. Obviously you've played since coming back. You went with Archives there in the Limelight. I missed that one sadly, but I heard it went great.
Yeah, it went really well.
Yeah,
it was so good to played in this beautiful venue so many times, and I love playing here. But it's really nice to get around Belfast and play different places. 2025. We're going to do some Dublin dates and Limerick and Cork as well. And then maybe Derry.
So I was about to say, there's a new place up there. It's got a wee scene. Can't remember the name of it now, but there's new promotions down there. There's a band called Asylum Road. They play down there a lot. They're from there. There's stuff going on.
Belfast is great, but you kind of...
Yeah, well, you can only go here so many times a year.
Exactly.
You want to play every night.
Yeah,
you got to spread it out.
Definitely want to play the South more than anything else.
Absolutely. South's brilliant at the minute as well.
We haven't played there yet, so...
You need to do Fibbers, obviously. It's
Fibbers,
guaranteed good show.
And then wherever. In Salesman, we played there loads, so we had a great time.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
That's class, man. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna do that. It's gonna be good. You put together a set list for the headline show. You're gonna working on a new intro, new songs. Any songs in there that are extra meaningful to you as a band or you personally?
Well,
Has anyone got their favorites?
I've pretty much written all the lyrics to probably most of the songs. Aiden's definitely had some influence in bits and pieces. Valley is a very personal song to me.
Yeah.
It's dedicated to my cousin Claire, who died a couple of years back. I wrote the lyrics on the way over to her. She's from England, so wrote the lyrics on the flight over to her funeral. And it was a very tough time, but I found it really cathartic to write the lyrics about something and it kind of, back in the day, me and her went hiking with my parents and her mum in the Pyrenees, which is the mountain range in between Spain and France, when I was she was 15, I was 16, so a load of years ago, but it was just stuck in our minds. It was one of my favourite memories, because we used to sneak off and go play cards, and we just try and find the most, because you're in the middle of a fucking mountain range, you try and find the most random place.
Every direction. Yeah.
And random place to play cards. So we found this where they got the name from. We're playing this kind of glacier valley, and we found this huge boulder that you climb on top of, and you're just looking in front of you, and it's this mountain range and then glacier coming down, and we were just like, what the fuck? This is insane.
Cool.
So that
nice
was
find.
Yeah. So it was dedicated to her, and just times that we had together and that kind of stuff.
That's brilliant, man. Yeah, no, it's. Do you find writing about personal things that have impacted you, feel that helps you cathartically deal with them then? And,
yeah, absolutely. Writing that stuff on the flight over was definitely a cathartic experience, and helps you process and think about stuff, and
well, you can tell, man. You can tell there's real emotion in the song.
I think that comes across.
I think I used to sing it with you years ago. I think I was there when you were starting to write it.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's great.
So yeah, I think it definitely comes across. Even in Salesman, there was a very personal song for Aiden, Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde. It was a very personal song for him.
Yep.
And you could tell, even in the recording, if someone else writes your lyrics, you can kind of feel them and emote them.
But when it's your own, the first NIHILANTH EP, it was all your lyrics, and I sang. I mean, I knew what it was about and all, but you were pretty much like, do it like this, and it's like this. But I know before, if you're singing a song you've written yourself, you're almost acting out the story. You're conveying the story of the song through your lyrics and your performance, and it can you do a lot of vocals yourself, and so you actually get to convey.
I nearly whenever we played Valley in Bloodstock, I was on the verge of busting out some tears, I
imagine, man.
Just because I was like, she would fucking love to be here seeing me play up here, and
look where you took it. It's
and
quite a tribute.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's brilliant, man. Excellent. So, what's next for the band? You've got this show on Saturday 11th in here. What you talked about planning gigs?
So next for us, we'll probably getting ready for this headline show is first and foremost, making sure set is tight as fuck. It pretty much is anyway. Every time we hate playing a set at practice, but we do it every practice. We run for the entire set, and then right. That's fine.
Have some fun. Have some fun with some other shit.
And then we get straight into writing. So we got practice tomorrow night, and so the main focus is getting the intro sorted, and we started incorporating more samples and stuff into our set.
That's so cool.
So Parky will trigger them with his sample pad, or
is that how you're triggering them? He just sets it off. You're not running one long track with the show.
Eventually, he has just bought a laptop and stuff. That's new ground for us.
Cool.
Getting into that kind of style.
Upgrading the whole setup.
Yeah, as it just streamlines it and makes it easier, and as long as you again playing to click. If you have that, then you can have sub drops come in and all that kind of thing.
There are bands that do. I think Archives do.
Yeah, they do. They run all their stuff up.
So it's all one big long session. It's 30, 35 minutes long, whatever, and you just go along with it.
Yep.
I could see there being great benefits to that.
Oh, huge benefits, and you just lock in. Yeah. And if you practice that way, you can also the drummer can just go pause it, and then just have the click going or whatever, and then you can do whatever you want to do.
I'd say he has a special pad with quick, easy access buttons to hit
Yeah.
for whatever he needs.
So that's the only thing with our sample pad is quite old and basic. So if we have multiple songs and stuff that have different samples and sample needs, I think Valley has 2 separate ones.
Yeah.
Kind of made kind of where it's a clean part in the middle of the song, and then at the very end there's kind of an outro thing, and then our new song, which doesn't have a name yet, has a intro sample and then middle sample as well. Yeah, and then
what are the samples? Are they like other parts you've programmed, or
yeah, I've
quotes or something?
written them all.
You take like film quotes or shit like that or anything?
Not yet. So the intro is. I'm not gonna say anything.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Yeah.
So whatever. The intro is what it is.
Yeah.
Samples are all for the musical stuff. Is all like symphonic stuff, synths and like orchestral type thing.
Did you play them in yourself or program them in? You have a little keyboard.
Yeah, I have a little keyboard. So I have on my DAW, on Reaper, I have like a BBC orchestral thing. It's all quite basic, but for what I need it to do, I use that, and then program like different types of drums. If there's like trap drum type vibe in it, like kind of stuff.
Man, that's cool.
Yeah, so it depends on the vibe of the song and how it's going. And then I bring that to practice and be like, "Do you guys like this?" And they're like, "Fuck yeah!" So
it's really cool to hear. You know, you're developing some new stuff, upgrading the sound, adding things in. What I was going to say here. What kind of is it still seeing the same direction, or is there you're adding new elements in, but it's still going to be straight up angry deathcore with pounding riffs? And
I never say we're deathcore. If we are,
that's a generalization. Sorry, it's a generalization.
Heavy metal. Definitely not heavy metal. Yeah, so definitely always going to be heavy. We've dabbled with. We have like a song. I think it was called Fractured. That we dubbed the spooky tune because it was like kind of spooky vibes to it. Yeah. It was a very slow song, so it may go on to a recording at some point, but never be played live.
Okay.
It's kind of like Engine Eternal from the EP.
Yep.
Which,
a nice melodic break for a bigger record, but you wouldn't have it in set.
No.
Actually, there's loads of songs you can have.
Exactly. So we have all that kind of stuff in our like riff banks.
Brilliant.
But whether they come out live or not is a different thing.
How are you going to handle releases then? Like you said, you're going to let each song stand on its own? Are you aiming for like an album, a collection?
So Valley and Emergent Truth were kind of written around the same time. So Truth will come out next, and it fucking slaps. Every time it's usually the second song in the set. We've kind of changed our setup a bit because we played the same kind of way each for the past year and a half or so.
Cool.
So we've changed that up. Just to kind of freshen things up, and so Truth was always second, and Stranger Called Death was first, and we play them together just because they're in the same tuning and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
But now we have a couple more E songs coming along,
so you don't have to have them
beside each other. And the way the intro flows into, I think, Stranger, it works really well. So yeah, it'll be a little bit different this time. And,
awesome.
Yeah, that's all.
Cool. So then, like, what would be the ultimate vision for the band? Where do you want it to end up finally? Like, what's a nice... a lot of people have like a goal, like, oh, I want to support this band, or I want to sell this many things.
We'd love to do some supports. Absolutely, they're like always awesome fun. Either here, or Limelight, or whatever. We haven't been given that opportunity yet, but we can't. We're ready to go whenever that opportunity arises.
Nice.
And but yeah, so that'll be one goal. We just want to play music as friends and have fun.
Not have too much fucking stress.
Yeah, there's no stress really.
Fair play.
Yeah, like as Salesman towards the end was getting that way, and I was like, let's just. And then when that ended, I was like, if I'm ever in a band again, it has to be just easy and
happy.
Like, everyone, like, people have kids coming on along the way, like jobs, have another life. So it is like you just do what you can, and the fact that we get to play shows and I get to sit up here and talk shit about what I have and
it's
all that kind of thing, it's fun as fuck. So
awesome.
We just take it as it is and push it as much as we can.
Cool.
See where we get.
Sweet. Well, yeah, I think that about wraps up everything I wanted to ask you about well, not that I needed to know, but that we wanted for the show, to tell our audience and learn all about the amazing experience of winning fucking Bloodstock and playing that, getting to hear about all your songs coming out. Audience, did anyone have any questions for Pete? And we got some back, so okay, who do we get first?
We got the Archive Boys asking, would I cliff dive the Lord's Prayer or am I feared? I would triple Christ air off the fucking top.
Sounds good.
So and I'm not feared, never.
Who else? We got one from Aaron there, the first one.
That one there?
Yep.
What's my preference on string gauges for 7-string playing and the NIHILANTH style? So I have done for a long time, especially on my 7s. On the 6, I usually use 60s or up to 70. So I think it was a GHS I started using, but I started then just using D'Addario officially just on the 6. So it's like 60 to 12. So I use the same on the 7s. So from like the standard version of the guitar, without the low 7, it's 60 to 12, and then 80 on top for the low string. And I find, even though it's a baritone, I still find the heavier the gauge, especially if you're down tuning quite low. We're tuning down to E is the lowest, but we're also going to be doing some drop tuning just on our on the pitch shifter type stuff. So like even like things like C sharp or whatever, something stupid, just for a couple of like extra heavy breakdowns.
Fucking right.
So I use D'Addario for the 6 strings, and then Ernie Ball, because D'Addario single strings are ridiculously priced. So I get Ernie Ball 80s for the low string.
There you go. Yeah, it was a very good question. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Next we've got Matt.
Yep. Who inspired you to pick up the 7-string, and how do they influence your material? So Korn, as I said earlier, they influenced me, and that's why I needed to have a 7-string in my life, and they were the main influence at the start, and they all played 7 strings, and Steph Carpenter from Deftones played 7-string, so I was like, they're all heavy as fuck. I want that. I need that. So, and all those bands like we spoke about earlier, they all influenced the fuck out of me. So
nice.
Yeah.
There was another one too from David. What was his question?
His question was, how many strings are on his guitar? 7.
7. Yep. So you use a 7.
I use a 7-string. Depends on what I'm doing or who I'm playing with. I do play a 6-string as well. It's mainly just at home because all of NIHILANTH stuff is on 7s.
But if you want to play something else,
I have the option. I also have a couple other.
I keep a couple of standard tuning ones just in case
I
want to play something else.
I also have another LTD at home, which is the 6-string version of the kind of Telecaster one, which is Tobacco Burst. Beautiful guitar. But it's for like nicer stuff, and kind of fucking around at home.
Awesome. Second part of the question. This is very good, actually.
how did I arrive
at the
at
tone.
the tone?
So what did you dial into what? Where do you put things in the chain? How do you get your tone?
So, well, I started off by emulating other bands, going up and watching bands and looking on stage and being like,
peeking over the fucking
what the fuck?
rack.
How do they do theirs? Right, okay. Because at the very start, I just had an amp and jacked straight in. Didn't even have maybe a tuner, and then got delay and reverb, not reverb, sorry, chorus, and started that way. But you can only get so much with like you just a kind of practice amp in terms of tone. And then I elevated to I had a Crate Voodoo Blue. Which I think Dom has now, which was cool as fuck. Had a snakeskin wrap on it.
That's cool.
So and it was okay. I kind of just relied on my pedals to kind of create my tone a little bit more. I had a Maxon 808 green, which is like your kind of bog standard overdrive pedal, and then there was other delays and chorus and stuff was kind of a main staple. And then I also had a fucking mothership of a board for a while.
I remember that.
And it was like a 32-inch motherfucker with loads of different pedals, and I had a splitter on it. So you plug all your pedals into the one splitter, and then you can
You had a
have
controller box?
controller box type thing. And it's good for different bits and pieces of your songs and that kind of thing. It's fine for tones because it's whatever, but just in terms of my style, I'm pretty much always going to need a heavy tone, going to need a lead tone, so I have heavy with a bit of verb and delay and that kind of bit more panned out there and bit boosted and that kind of thing, and then other bits and pieces, clean channel and a slightly more gritty one, different type of lead. I've got all, which we'll do in the demo when we do that. I'll show you all my tones and stuff. But to dial it in, when I got my PV, I asked the guys from Red Enemy what they use, because they use the same amp as me, and and they're just fucking powerhouse of a local band. And so I asked those guys.
That's actually a good idea as well. Just fucking asking people.
Ask
flat out asking people. Ask him.
bands, ask me.
Ask him.
I'll tell you my
me if you want a
or,
shit answer.
or these guys. Just anyone that uses like an amp that you like the tone of.
Just fucking
ask them. If they say don't tell you, that's
fuck them.
Fuck them. But I'll give you my dials, no bother. I just asked those guys, and
there you go. You can get the Pete sound.
I dialed theirs in and then like tweaked it to my own kind of tastes, and you just kind of you find your own flavor that you like, and then you either add to it or you take away or that kind of thing. And then when I went back onto the QC, pretty much had my amp going and like a recording of it, and then just tried to emulate. There's we can in the demo we can make our own one on the fly. It's really easy. It's all touch screen and all that kind of stuff. So there's every fucking amp you can think of on there. They're all named differently because for legal reasons, but they're all on there. And then you could also capture on this. So if you plug in my amp, you put a mic to it, and then you plug it in the back. There's a port for capturing, and then you just press capture, and it captures.
You could steal someone's tone on them, like
pretty much. Well, it's not stealing. Stealing or just
taking,
capturing. But
would that work if you were just playing even the CD at home? And
it has to be. It has to be like an amp or that kind of thing.
Cool.
So yeah, it's so that's how I find my tone that way. Took a while to get to kind of find my own kind of thing and like fine tune it. But yeah, that's basically how you just time and. Sitting in a room, especially when you need to be able to play it loud, because whenever you turn your amp or whatever down, it can sound good and chunky, but as soon as you add more gain or more volume to it, it can kind of distort it in ways you don't want and have little like squeals here and there and stuff. So you need to then balance that. And if you're playing high gain metal, noise gates. This motherfucker found out the hard way of not having a noise gate every practice was
probably have some footage
to the absolute fucking dismay of our ears.
Yeah, you need a noise gate if you're doing metal.
Yeah,
or anything with high gain or noise, you need a fucking noise gate.
Yes, and then third part.
That's the end of the viewer questions. I actually had a question though.
Yep.
The Valley Beneath, the lead guitar part that happens during the chorus.
Mm-hmm.
What is going on there? What is?
Do you mean that's the very start of it?
No, the what you're playing during the chorus.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? Is that reverb, delay, or is it all Josh?
No, it's so Leap. I wrote it. Well, the kind of basic version of it.
Yeah.
And then Lee used his. He has a.
It's an amazing tone. Like
I think we used my lead tone actually because we recorded it on the QC. So I'll show you the lead on that during our demo. But it's basically just my heavy tone with a slightly more boosted gain on it to kind of make sure it's at the forefront. And then there's a reverb on there. I think 1 or 2 delays.
Yeah, it's great.
You don't need to have that much to have a decent. It just needs to be subtle in a way, especially for your delay. If you're doing any kind of tapping thing, you want to kind of repeat, but you don't want to kind of overdo it and make sure. And you can tap tempo or just dial it in, especially if you have it on your computer or whatever. You can dial it in and make sure it's all mapped out in terms of your set. But so just. We dialed the BPM of that song in, so then the repeats are in time with things. So then it was all kind of fast picking, like single string kind of stuff, and then the reverb just kind of takes it. Josh may have added a few more bells and whistles on there just to kind of accentuate it.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was pretty much that lead tone.
It's awesome. Really impressed me. That, and what have you got going on in the intro riff? Is that like your wah pedal expressed?
No, that's it's probably a different name, but we call it like lo-fi kind of filter.
Yes.
So he had on his what does he have? He has the Helix, Line 6 Helix. So it has a foot switch on it, and or like it's kind of like a volume pedal. So he starts off at the back, and then as you kind of depress it, it kind of changes the tone and makes it go like, and the volume increases and that kind of thing as well. So it's cool. We're incorporating that into a couple more songs.
So he does that live.
Yeah. So and then that's when we all kick in. I think we didn't have that at the start, and then he just was fucking around. I was like, put that at the start of the song.
Can we expect more of those elements?
Yeah, so the brand new song has that, and there's a couple of, I think, maybe other couple of bits and pieces. You don't want to use the same thing over and over again too much.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool little kind of add-on that we have in there.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, that's fucking cool. I think we learned a lot this evening about yourself. I even found out some things I probably didn't even know about you. It's fucking cool, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for coming here.
Of course.
And
happy to be here.
I think now what we want to do is actually see some of this stuff in action. Awesome. So brilliant. Yeah, we've transformed then from Voodoo to up to wonderful Donaghadee to the NIHILANTH studio here. So please show us this place. I used to come here a lot back in the day with you guys, but it's all different now.
Yeah, so it's all changed. Hello everyone again. So our drummer decided to build a drum riser in our little studio that we have, and it looks class. Yeah. We got some new lights, and he built a little shelf for himself, and so it's awesome. It's a little bit out of the way for practice, but it means you're kind of locked in, and we practice every week. So
how do you feel like setting the atmosphere for the jam room, setting the tone? Because before, when it was just like a plain room and a bit of a mess, compared to now when you have your nice lights, and
it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Like even with when you turn the big light on at the end of the day to kind of pack up and put stuff away, it's like it's horrible. No one likes the big light,
No.
but. Yeah, it's we love it here. We used to have a place down in Blackstaff, but we always had this in the background just for storage and things. And then we decided actually it's pretty cheap and secure, so
may as well decorate it up.
May as well decorate it and make it look nice and utilize it. So
yeah, it's really impressive. If anyone's ever lucky enough to get here in person, it's definitely worth a visit.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah. So you're here in the studio. Everyone's gear is here. We could probably take a look at everyone's, but we're just looking at yours today. You've got the whole setup here. You were showing us your guitars earlier, so do you want to show us how you wire it all up and bring it all through?
I'll go through my guitar first. So
sweet.
ESP E2 7-string baritone. It's the TB7 model, I think it is.
Nice.
Absolutely beast of guitar. Sounds so good. And I tune to drop G for like the kind of drop D kind of style, and then drop E for the even lower kind of octave kind of thing. So
Yeah.
G sounds like this, and then E sounds like later on. I'll tune down.
Yeah. Even more. Brilliant.
And then I have an Uber heft, which makes it sound disgusting. But anyways, so yeah, string wise, I go 80 on the low.
Yep.
And then I go 60 to 12. And I buy the 80 separate. You can't. I don't know why you can't get these, but you can't get 80, 60 to 12. I have to buy. I used to buy an 8-string set, and then just chuck away the high E, because they're the only ones that had the 80 on them. But I just find for the way and style that I play, the heavier the gauge gives you a little bit more of a pop. I learned this from, I think, Lee Malia did it in Bring Me Horizon. So he used to use 70 gauge strings on and drop A, which is loads of tension and it's still pretty good, but and just on a 6-string guitar. But I just stopped that onto 7 strings, and I feel like it really makes it really chunky, especially when you're playing heavy.
And what
stuff.
brand of strings is that?
What, sorry?
What brand of strings is that?
So I have two brands, because the other brand, the 80 is really expensive. I think it's Ernie Ball for the 80, and then D'Addario 60s on the
Awesome.
bottom. Yeah,
Nice one, dude.
That's that.
So it's your strings, and what's your pickups? Did you modify this?
No, so
one?
the other one was modified. This one just has the stock EMGs. I think they're the 707s, but they're fucking great. Like, I was gonna change them out, but I still may at some point. But I think they still sound pretty badass.
Yeah, they sound pretty
active. So you just chuck a 9-volt in the back, and away you go.
Awesome. That's fucking cool, man. Yeah.
And it looks pretty fucking cool too.
Yeah. And do you use wireless usually, or do you go cable?
I had a wireless, but it packed it in on itself.
Yeah.
The battery pack place.
What do you prefer
open.
usually?
I would prefer wireless.
Yeah.
Like, having cables is great. I always have a spare just in case the wireless fails. But I need to get back on the wireless again.
Cool, man. Cool. So what's next then? You go from guitar.
So guitar, and then I go into my digital whammy.
Brilliant.
Anyone that knows, or Digitech whammy, sorry.
And that's always first in the chain.
What's sorry?
It's always first in the chain.
Always first in the chain, because it's got the
pitch
pedal
bend
and stuff. So it's, if you want to go your life away. So I use it in a couple of songs. I'm still getting used to kind of playing it and utilizing it. I'll change it up at some point, but I'll get the QC, which I'll get to. You can have the same pedal in that. So all I need is a what's it called? A MIDI controller, essentially.
Brilliant.
So you don't have to use it.
That's fucking
And
cool,
then I
man.
can make my board smaller and more compact.
Well, it seems like it even is smaller now from last time I was up here.
Yeah,
It
I used to
like,
have
spaceship
an
thing.
absolute mothership of a board,
Yeah.
and it was an absolute bitch to carry around. And then as soon as the QC came out, there's been like your Helix and stuff, which Lee uses, but it's still a pretty substantial board. I always I loved my pedal board and love going through all analog pedals and things, but it just came to the point where I was kind of through with, like, if one of the pedals failed, you have to try and figure out which one it is. I have to make all my cables, all that kind of stuff. So it was just an absolute bollock, and this just completely takes away all that kind of pain and suffering. It is, as I said before, the most versatile and amazing piece of kit that I own. You can literally do anything with it. You can run an entire band off it. You can do 2 guitars and bass at the same time.
That's amazing.
And you can do vocals on it as well if you wanted to do stuff.
Sounds like it's worth a whole episode by itself.
Oh, absolutely. For sure. And if you go on YouTube, there's plenty of those already.
That's class.
But yeah, it's so good. So from the Digitech Whammy into the QC, and then from the QC, I go direct to front of house or PA, and then I go into the back of my PV as well.
So your backline and your front of house are actually going to be 2 different signals, 2 different
just
sounds.
if you just go direct, then you don't need this. But the sound that it gives from the back, I always like from playing with cabs and things. I've always wanted it, and you kind of need that kind of stage sound a little bit. So I always utilize it, and it's an absolute workhorse. I just go in the back into the effects end, which acts as the power amp.
Yeah.
So I bought a Harley Benton one. I think I said this before. I bought a Harley Benton one, and it just doesn't have the same bite as this one does. So I just need to upgrade that, and then I'll do away with bringing this heavy piece of machinery.
Okay. Just have
to
the
live
little mini
shows,
one.
and then I'll just bring cab, and I can like at some point probably just go full direct, and then I don't have to do with cabs or anything. It's just my little carry case for that, and the guitar, and my in-ears, and that's it.
That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude. So that's it. And then what's your cab then? You're using orange?
Orange 4x12. Had this for years. It's got Celestial 30s in it.
Nice.
Kind of vintage, bog standard orange cab. It's absolute workhorse and amazing sound. I've adopted. Lee has like this Laney Ironheart.
Yeah.
Cab. So for live, it's a heavy fucking thing. So we have two of these. I don't know if you can see it. It's that one there. It's a 2x12, and it's light as fuck. So
that is fucking
I use that or its partner live instead of carrying that one about. But that's my full rig. And then on the QC, if you want to do, we can go through what I have in terms of presets.
So what kind of presets do you use then? What's your main sound?
My main heavy tone is called Senior Heft, and it sounds like this. So kind of standard heavy kind of tone. It's emulated from the PV, but I've kind of tweaked around with it, which is like it's my main kind of sound that I've used for years, but it kind of just kind of tweaked around with it.
Cool.
Whenever you're kind of, I can show you quickly. So you have all your little.
Oh shit! So yeah, that's your whole little chain.
My preset that I made, and then so
that's class.
This is it, pretty much there. All the rest of these are like the other ones. So my heavy tone, my lead tone. As you can see, it turns things off and on in the scene.
Yeah.
So from heavy to lead, and then to the Ubenheft, which is just us tuned down. I think it's 5 semitones. So from
holy shit!
Yeah. So
give me mic.
that's it's pretty stanky, and then so I have that, and then I have Angmar lead. They're all kind of silly names because I'm why not?
Oh yeah.
Lord of the Rings fan, so Angmar lead. It's kind of like a filtered kind of lead sound. I use it on the song Fangs with the digi type whammy. It's
that sounds so cool.
Yeah, so it's just kind of a cool kind of filtered sound, and then gritty is just the kind of overdriven sound. I don't really use it. I'm probably going to change it to something else. Sounds like an overdriven guitar, and then clean is kind of like a cool, nice, clean sounding guitar, but like dreamy and
it's like single coil sounding like.
Yeah, I've never had the. I had it a little bit with my like analog pedals, but you can go into like modulation and all the crazy stuff and just make it sound dreamy and class.
Such a contrast from the distortion you just had.
Don't really use it bar at practice, and then Space Grit is just I use it for A Stranger Called Death. It's the kind of Knight Rider sounding bit.
Yeah.
And then Coruscant is just my main heavy riff with some chorus in it. So yeah, and that's really it. But cool. The thing with the QC, it's just so versatile. As you've seen the other, bring my mic down. When you're making the presets, like I'll just.
So does it come with a load of presets, but you made these all yourself? You just played with them until you got what you wanted.
You download them off the website, or and you can do it on your phone. So you download them on your phone, and then they go straight onto this as long as you're connected to the same Wi-Fi.
Oh, that's cool.
So and it's mind-blowingly awesome. So just quickly, I'll make a preset. So this is a blank preset. I'll go into preset mode. So then you choose your amp. So let's choose amp. And there's absolutely tons of them.
Fuck. Yeah, the list just goes on and on.
Yeah, so let's go what I already using, which is the PV 505 rhythm. And then you choose your cab. And I'll just fucking Zilla 1x12 will do. And just for that's just out of the gate.
Yeah.
That's not with it doing anything to it at all. So you then tap into it, and then brings up all the dials, and then you can use the dials in this to change.
Is it touchscreen on it as well?
Yeah, touchscreen, and it just go up that.
So each of those buttons are actually knobs.
Yeah, twist
as well.
knobs. Yeah,
That's
really cool.
Yeah.
So then
fantastic.
Back on, and then let's put like an overdrive in there. Green 808, and then put that across here, and then always whenever you're doing a high gain, gotta put a wee gate in there. So that's like, obviously we haven't really fucked with it at all, but like,
yeah, it's that easy to get a tone up.
Yeah, so you just gotta fiddle around
and
find what you like, and then when you're in scene mode, if you have multiple ones, you can then turn each one off. Instead of hitting each stomp pedal to have one of these do something else, you can have the whole other, like I showed before, whole other presets that kind of change into it and makes it, it's just so cool.
That is so cool. Yeah. What made you go for this? Like, was there any one in particular, or did you just look up lots of different ones till you found the one for you?
Nearly every big band uses a quad cortex, so
like an industry
Malevolence, Architects, and like those kind of, like big bands. I think Metallica use
They'll
Fractal.
Be endorsed probably.
Yeah. Well, I think Metallica use Fractal. But for the same thing, I think I listened to a podcast or interview with Kurt Hammett, and he said we used amps for years and years and years, and you get to, like I said before, you get to some venues and the power might be different, or this, that, the other, and your tone suffers for it. So, and something might blow, something might do this, valve might go in the amp or something like that. So all an absolute bollock, whereas this or the other kind of options you can get,
every time.
It's just the same tone every time.
That is so cool.
And because it's so small, it's really, really easy on the person.
I mean, it's the future, isn't it? I mean, 100%. Everyone's going to be backpack.
You can hear yourself how like clear tone it is.
And on the last recording as well, for the Valley, it was all done through this. Yeah. All guitars and bass.
All guitars and bass. So yeah, it like used everything. We dialed in some more kind of Lee tones instead of it just being my kind of heavy tone, just to kind of change up a little bit, and used his guitar and this guitar, just kind of get a bit more different sounds in there. But
brilliant. Yeah,
like they're absolutely incredible. And then from the QC, go into front of house, or in our case the PA.
So when you're running out two different feeds, have you got cab sim going in front of house?
You can also there's I think there's 3 inputs, so you can run like an entire band nearly off this. So you could have 2 guitars and a bass run this. You just have to change how your presets work.
Cool. Can you do vocals as well through it?
You can do bits and I do them at home. You can it's not really for that, but you could plug your mics in and put like reverb and all that kind of thing on it. So cool. I use it at home for demos, just because I have a small
as an interface.
You plug it straight in. It's got an Ethernet cable and
That's
the MIDI cable, sorry, that goes straight into your laptop and then or PC, whatever.
Seriously impressive.
Oh, they're so cool. So yeah, in terms of routing, from the QC into the desk, has one output, and then I go into the back of this and using that as my power amp, because I bought one from Harley Benton and it sounds good, but it just I haven't tweaked with it enough. I probably need to go higher end a little bit more.
Okay.
Just I don't know. I watched a bunch of reviews, and for the price, I was like, oh, it should be worth it.
Yeah. Maybe just for local gigs or something.
I know, but I tried it in this room, and like everyone was like, yeah,
Didn't cut it.
No, and I had this like absolutely boosted. Like, I'll just play it. So that's at like 24.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's that was at 70 something there.
Right.
So I only ever usually go to like 50 to kind of 60 maybe, especially here, because the amp powers it so well. We don't need the extra sound.
Yep.
So yeah, it's mad. I'll absolutely love it. So yeah, and then the back, I go into the effects end from the other output of there.
Yep.
Into there, and then that's just the cab, and then that powers that. That means I have on stage sound and front of house stand. I will probably at some point just go full direct, so I don't have to bother with any of this shit.
And then you use your in-ears as well, usually.
Yeah, so absolutely. So, and if you've never used in-ears, they're an absolute game changer. Whenever you've deafened yourself like we have for years and years and years at gigs or practice without any ear protection, as soon as you're able to hear yourself properly, it makes your playing so much better, because you can be like, oh, I'm not just fucking around, and then you can hear yourself fucking up loads of times. So
what do you take in an in-ear mix usually for being a guitar player?
Mostly my guitar, because drums are fucking loud anyway. Maybe a little bit of kick.
It's not
just
necessary.
No, just because it's right behind my head as well. So, Parky runs a click for himself. At some point, we will all have that, but we haven't got that far yet. It's cool. The next step is that kind of thing. Yeah. I think he's getting there.
That's cool. We've other bands like From Ruins and Archives all running tracks and clicks.
Yeah.
And basically the whole show is one big session, you know, 30, 35 minutes, whatever, and you just...
Yeah, you were speaking to Adam,
he was telling us all about it. It's definitely the way to go if you want the more technical stuff with the other elements in.
Yeah, I was
trying to trigger their
the guitarist Paul.
Yes.
And he just kind of ran me through their whole system, and it's you have to be a fucking engineer for some of this
it's
shit.
Impressive, but that's the way. That's the end goal. Like you know, you want everyone on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
that's so cool, man. Well, here, dude, thank you so much
of course.
for bringing us down here and showing us your wonderful base of operations for NIHILANTH, and then showing us through your rig. You've shown us it now, so maybe we'll get a little demo of you playing some riffs through it.
Sounds
and
good.
Play them for lovely people at home, and we'll check those out.
Yeah, sounds good, bud.
Awesome. dude. That was awesome.
you so much.
The rig looks and sounds as good as it looks, and yeah, can't wait to see it in action. Which I guess next for us is the 11th of January, Saturday, the 11th of January in Voodoo. Which we would like to thank them again for sponsoring this episode. Thank you. So yeah, from ourselves, we just want to say thanks, and we'll see you in the next one.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you very much! This has been an absolute blast. We're going to remember this for a very long time.